A restaurant called Lucky Lee's in New York found itself in international news and getting a lot of abuse online because it posted saying that they were selling clean Chinese food which won't leave you feeling bloated the next day. And the reason they got this abuse is that Lucky Lee's isn't run by Chinese people. It's actually owned by a Jewish couple, and people thought they were insulting Chinese cuisine. Now, the restaurant put out a statement apologising and clarifying what they meant. They just used the best available ingredients. And you think, right, fair enough, that's it. But no, we're in 2019 where everyone is fucking insulted by everything. And there's some bloggers and journalists who are calling this cultural appropriation. And if you're not familiar with that term, don't worry. Until about 2 years ago when all the fucking snowflakes turned up, no one else had heard it either. But basically, cultural appropriation is if you take part of someone else's culture and make money from it, such as a Jewish couple selling Chinese food, or if you're from part of society that has oppressed another part of society, such as white Americans who historically oppressed Chinese workers but are now eating Chinese food, that's also cultural appropriation. And whenever you hear this term, it's largely utter fucking bollocks. Last year, it got into the news around Halloween because people were asking, is it okay if a white child wanted to dress as the Marvel character Black Panther, or would that be racist or cultural appropriation? Now, my opinion then is the same as it is now, which is if you've got a white kid that wants to dress up as their favourite superhero and that superhero is Black Panther, that's fucking brilliant because it means the racism hasn't been drummed into them yet. None of us are born racist, it's something that gets taught. And the other thing where people are saying, oh, it's cultural appropriation. Which culture? Because Black Panther is from Wakanda, and that's fucking fictional. You can't appropriate a culture that isn't there. You may as well be offended by people dressed as a fucking Jedi. But it transpires that cultural appropriation in food is something that a lot of snowflakes get upset about. So if we take it at its most basic form, that if you are taking someone else's food and making money from it, you are stealing from their culture, there's a lot of restaurants that are going to be in the shit. I live in Staffordshire in England, and just down the road there's a takeaway that sells what they call Southern Fried Chicken. Now, a rather lazy stereotype is that Southern Fried Chicken is associated with African Americans, but I guarantee that takeaway doesn't have any fucking African Americans working in it. So what am I meant to do? Stand outside with a placard protesting, look at these racist fucking bastards cooking to a recipe. You can buy pizza down here as well. There's no fucking Italians in the area. But then, thinking on it, well, Rome did invade Britain thousands of years, or a couple of thousand years ago, so yes, we've been oppressed by the Italians, so it's probably okay, it's probably reparations. And what about supermarkets? They all have fucking international aisles now, world foods. What am I meant to do if I see a white guy picking up a naan bread? Oi, put that down, you fucking white supremacy dickhead! But it gets even worse than this, because some people are saying that it's not just selling food. If you buy food from another person's culture, that's actually racist. So, and they give the example, people say this food's exotic. And exotic is just a posh word for saying different. So if you want to try something different, apparently you're a fucking white power racist. So if we go back to the start of this with Chinese food, well, I go to a Chinese takeaway around the corner from me. I've been going there for 11 years. The food's great, the people are lovely. But if we've all got to suddenly stop going there because we might be accused of being fucking racist, that place is in the shit. Because there's 4 Chinese people live in the area here, and they all work in the fucking takeaway. I think what will make a lot more sense is if everyone stopped worrying about what someone's grandfather did to someone else's grandfather. And here's another thing. If I go to a Chinese takeaway and order a meal, I haven't bought a Chinese meal. I've bought my fucking meal. I've paid for it. I own it. It's mine. I'm not appropriating anyone. In fact, I'll say this. A few years ago, I was in Brighton. I went to a fish and chip shop and it was run by a Japanese couple. Now, should I have just lost my shit? How dare you? How dare you steal my culture? Of course not. In fact, that says a lot, doesn't it? Fish and chips. That's Britain's contribution to world fucking cuisine.